to the Nerd Den here once again, and wow, what an episode. Yes, The Well has just finished airing on iPlayer, and it will be airing later today on BBC One, but what an episode, because yes, there are going to be spoilers in this, so this is your warning that, if you haven't seen the episode yet, what are you doing? Go and watch it on iPlayer, or wait for it to drop on BBC One later on today, because, yeah, we're going to dive straight into it, because surprise, surprise, the leaks were true. It was indeed a sequel to Midnight, and that mysterious entity that plagued the 2008 episode where it nearly got David Tennant's Doctor killed. Yes, that entity did indeed return. Now, I'll be completely honest, when I first saw the leaks that there was going to be a sequel to Midnight, I was like, oh wow, what is Russell doing? Like, that episode was the perfect standalone episode, and I still feel like it does definitely stand true. But let's actually talk about this episode, because the episode continues on from last week's, with the Doctor and Belinda still trying to navigate back to 2025, more specifically May 24th. But they take a little detour and they land on a ship, and, well, they do a little bit of a Helldivers moment and dive straight into the planet's surface. And along the way, they meet Star Troopers. Yes, Star Troopers. Just your plain average Star Troopers, which was, well, it was a very, very fast-paced opening. And as they all land on the surface, the Doctor and Belinda kind of save their own skin by using the good old psychic paper, and that allows them to continue on this little expedition, because they're going to a colony base which originally had over 30 people there, but because of the galvanic radiation, there is no one there according to the scanners. However, when they arrive at the base, the scans clear up and there is indeed one person left. So, this person that is left on board, who is it? Well, this is Alis. And Alis is, well, she seems like a vulnerable woman. But as Belinda goes to inspect her and goes to heal her wounds, she notices an entity glitching behind her. And as one of the troopers goes behind to investigate, they're killed. They're just completely killed, thrown away, and the body is thrown across the room, and everything is broken. But what is this entity? Well, through a reveal that does show that 400,000 years ago, the planet was covered in diamonds. Yes, as we said at the beginning of the video, it is indeed the planet Midnight, which was a nice reveal. Definitely did show that, yes, the entity did survive the events of Midnight, and that, well, I mean, could the entity actually really be killed? We'll get onto that later in the video. But the entity is back, and it is doing what it does best, and it is toying with its victims. So, it is established that anyone that goes behind Alis will simply be killed, and as the Doctor points out, if this was structured like a clock face, anyone that lands where Midnight would be, they are killed. After the Doctor decides to interact with the creature, through whispering and some off-screen interaction, so we still don't see what this entity looks like, the Doctor realises that it's back to its old ways and decides to use the mining facilities against the creature, and upon shining mercury in the background, the creature decides to leave Alis alone and jumps away, because the creature can't stand to look at itself, and that's why all the mirrors at the beginning of the episode were smashed, because the creature doesn't like its own appearance, which was a nice little bit of lore expanded upon the Midnight entity. And as the Doctor and the troopers run away from the station, the creature jumps onto Belinda, and Belinda is scared. She's vulnerable. She doesn't know what's going on, and one of the troopers decides to shoot Belinda, but it's a non-fatal shot, and the creature jumps onto one of the surviving troopers, and this trooper decides to jump down the well, thinking that she's taken the creature. However, as another one of the surviving troopers is speaking to their commanding officer, who it is revealed to be Mrs. Flood, which, you know, that's this week's Mrs. Flood cameo, out of the way. There is a strong hint that the entity has latched itself onto one of the two surviving troopers. So, is the Midnight entity still out there? And has it finally escaped the planet? I guess we'll have to wait to see what happens in a potential further threequel to the Midnight entity. So with all that being said, thank you so much for tuning into this video. It was a nice little surprise this week to get a sequel to Midnight. And you know what? If Midnight was Alien, I feel like this episode was Aliens. But yes, thank you so much for tuning into today's video. If you are new around here, click that like button and subscribe for more nerdy content. And I'll see you all next time. Goodbye for now.